He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
And homes. And more will be lost before this recession is over.
Hello, friends. Mark
Credit
Levin,
is still
Hour
not flowing
3.
nearly as freely as it should.
This is the Obama press conference. Lower it a
Countless
second.
families and communities.
You've missed a few minutes, and basically he said that he walks on water. Go.
High, and government is still not as efficient as it needs to be. We still confront threats ranging from terrorism to nuclear proliferation, as well as pandemic flu. And all this means you can expect an unrelenting, unyielding effort from this administration to strengthen our prosperity and our security in the second 100 days and the third 100 days and all the days after that. You can expect us to work on health care reform that will bring down costs while maintaining quality, as well as energy legislation that will spark a clean energy revolution. I expect to sign legislation by the end of this year that sets new rules of the road for Wall Street, rules that reward drive and innovation, as opposed to shortcuts and abuse. And we will also work to pass legislation that protects credit card users from unfair rate hikes and abusive fees and penalties. We'll continue scouring the federal budget for savings and target more programs for elimination. And we will continue to pursue procurement reform that will greatly reduce the no-bid contracts that have wasted so many taxpayer dollars. So we have a lot of work left to do. It's work that will take time, and it will take effort. But the United States of America, I believe, will see a better day. We will rebuild a stronger nation. And we will endure as a beacon for all those weary travelers beyond our shores who still dream that there's a place where all this is possible. I want to thank the American people for their support and their patience during these trying times.
Don't have my support.
And I look forward to working with you
in
the next 100 days and the 100 days after that, all the hundreds of days to follow, to make sure that this country is what it can be. And with that, I will start taking some questions, and I'll start with you, Jennifer.
Thank you, Mr. President. With the flu outbreak spreading, can you talk about whether you think it's time to close the border with Mexico, and whether, under what conditions you might consider quarantine when that may be?
Well, first of all, as I said, this is a cause for deep concern, but not panic. And I think that we have to make sure that we recognize that how we respond intelligently, systematically, based on science and what public health officials have to say, will determine, in large part, what happens. I've consulted with our public health officials extensively on a day-to-day basis, in some cases an hour-to-hour basis. At this point, they have not recommended a border closing. From their perspective, it would be akin to closing the barn door after the horses are out, because we already have cases here in the United States.
I see. So
we
nothing
have
else can come in.
Ramped up screening efforts, as well as made sure that additional supplies are there on the border so that we can prepare in the eventuality that we have to do more than we're doing currently. But the most important thing right now that public health officials have indicated is that we treat this the same way that we would treat other flu outbreaks, just understanding that because this is a new strain, we don't yet know how it will respond. So we have to take additional precautions, essentially take out some additional insurance. Now, that's why I asked for an additional $1.5 billion so that we can make sure that everything is in place should a worst-case scenario play out. I do want to compliment Democrats and Republicans who worked diligently back in 2005 when the bird flu came up. I was part of a group of legislators who worked with the Bush administration to make sure that we had beefed up our infrastructure and our stockpiles of antiviral drugs like Tamiflu.
I forgot he was involved.
I think the Bush administration did a good job of creating the infrastructure.
Remember I criticized him that the other day? They monitor this show.
We've got 50 million courses of antiviral drugs in the event that they're needed. So the government is going to be doing everything that we can. We're coordinating closely with state and local officials. Secretary Napolitano at Department of Homeland Security, newly installed Secretary Sebelius of Health and Human Services, our acting CDC director. They are all on the phone on a daily basis with all public health officials across the states to coordinate and make sure that there's timely reporting, that as new cases come up, that we are able to track them effectively, that we're
Doesn't
allocating
American Idol
resources
normally play
so
about now,
they're
Mr.
in place.
Producer?
The key now, I think, is to make sure that we are maintaining great vigilance. That
Dancing with the Stars. Is that normally tonight,
responds, appropriately when
Both of them?
cases do come up. And individual
Wow, this
families
is so much more
start
fascinating and
taking
edifying.
very sensible precautions that
Wash your hands.
that can
Flush
make a
your
huge
toilet,
difference. So
lock your
wash
door.
hands,
Yeah, there you go.
when you shake hands. Cover your mouth when you cough. I know it sounds trivial, but it makes
Fill up
a
your
huge
tires.
difference.
Don't
If
put your
you are
mouth on the
sick,
exhaust
stay
pipe.
home. If your child is sick, keep them out of
You
school.
said all this already.
If you are feeling certain flu symptoms, don't get on an airplane. Don't get on
If you're having
any system of public
flatulence,
transportation where you're confined and you
don't
could
get on an
potentially,
airplane. If you had
spread,
garlic, stay
the
off the
virus.
airplane.
So those are the steps that I think we need to take right now. But understand that because this is a new strain, we have to be cautious. If this was a strain that we were familiar with,
Next question.
then we might have to. Then I think
Yellow. Next question.
we wouldn't see the kind of alert levels that we're seeing, for example, with the World
We're in
Health
rambling mode
Organization.
now.
Okay. Deb Price of Detroit News. Where's Deb?
Oh.
Good to see you.
Thank you, Mr. President. On the domestic auto industry, have you determined that bankruptcy is the only
Notice how they you can't hear the
Do
question.
you believe that the deep cuts and plant closings that were outlined this week by General Motors
I
are
wonder if that's intentional.
Let me seek to
What's the
Chrysler
question?
first because the clock is ticking on Chrysler coming up with a plan. I am actually very hopeful, more hopeful than I was 30 days ago, that we can see a resolution that maintains a viable Chrysler auto company out there.
Right.
What we've seen is the
How are we
unions
gonna
have
do
made enormous sacrifices
Yes, they're taking
on
over
top of
55%.
sacrifices that they had previously made.
Yes.
You've now seen the major debt holders
Yes.
come up with a set of potential concessions that they can live with. All that
Well, they have a
promises,
gun to their head. It's not that
the
they can live with it.
possibility
They have
that
no
you can
choice.
get a Fiat Chrysler merger and that you have an ongoing concern. The details have not yet been finalized, so I don't want to jump the gun, but I'm feeling more optimistic than I was about the possibilities of that getting done. With respect to GM, we're going to have another 30 days. They're still in the process of presenting us with their plans. But I've always said that GM has a lot of good product there, and if they can get through these difficult times and engage in some of the very difficult choices that they've already made, that they can emerge a strong, competitive, viable company. And that's my goal in this whole process. I would love to get the U.S. government out of the auto business as quickly as possible. We have a circumstance in which a bad recession compounded some great weaknesses already in the auto industry.
Now, how about government regulations?
And it was my obligation, and continues to be my obligation, to make sure that any taxpayer dollars that are in place to support the auto industry are aimed not at short-term fixes that continue these companies as wards of the state, but rather institutes the kind of restructuring that allows them to be strongly competitive in the future. I think we're moving in that direction. Last point, you asked about Chrysler bankruptcy. It was the prudent and appropriate thing for Chrysler to do to engage in the filings that received some notice a while back because they had to prepare for possible contingencies.